Hey all, this is NTom,
And this is THD.
and welcome, first of all, to a brand new year, but also to a brand new HellfireComms playthrough. This is Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4, developed by Insomniac, loved by Helldragon and I. This is a banger of a game, and we're going to be playing on New Game Plus, which gives us all suits, all abilities, all gadgets, all ass-kicking, all the time. So let's do this shit.
Yeah, but in compensation, we are going to jack up the difficulty a little bit, so it's not like a complete cakewalk, you know?
Yeah, I played on Amazing, which is basically normal for all of the game. It does spike at certain points, but it doesn't really get truly hard until the DLC, which is a little bit unfairly balanced, but that's a story for another time. So, Helldragon, when did Spidey first fall on your radar, mate?
What, like the game itself, or just in general?
Back when I was a wee nipper, I saw a man of spiders in the comics. Obviously the game, come on.
Okay, alright. Well, I mean, you have to remember, we first got footage about this game at, like, one of the E3s past. I think it was, like the 2017 one, or something like that. And it was, like, a level that takes place later on, in the game. And I was like, okay. I mean, like, you know, I like Spider-Man. For a long while, Iron Man was kind of like my favorite Marvel hero, but, you know, I really do like Spider-Man to a fair degree. But I wasn't really going to check it out. I wasn't super interested. But then I heard everybody talking about the game, how fucking great it was, how great the story was, and the combat and things like that, even in an open world kind of thing. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go ahead and give it a shot. And what do you know? It is one of my favorite games of 2018, because it's all great. The story's great, the combat's good, the gameplay is just excellent, polished across the board. Like, Insomniac Games went the mile to deliver us a fucking fantastic Spider-Man game, so I'm really glad I checked it out.
And it's actually kind of unique, at least in terms of, like, more recent Spider-Man mythos, because this is, like, Peter or Spidey at his peak. He's as poor as ever, because, you know, what's Peter Parker about a dash of suffering? But, like, he's fought most of his rogues gallery at this point. There's one surprising omission, and it's a character who is fucking amazing in this game. Like, you couldn't have asked for a better villain, so to speak. But he's played by Yuri Lowenthal in this game. Peter, not the villain. We'll get more into him later, don't you worry. But this is Spider-Man with his nuts as big as a Katamari in its final level. And like I said, we have all the gadgets and stuff. So even though the difficulty is bumped up, enemies at the beginning won't be giving us too much trouble. But yeah, I agree with Helldragon. Like, the story, the characterization, the graphics, the gameplay, it's all fantastic across the board. I'd say, like, the one element it doesn't really excel in, like, it's adequate, it's pretty good even, but it doesn't excel in the music department, and I'm a cyborg for some reason, because that's the last costume I had on before I made the New Game Plus thing.
Yeah, you get a lot of different Spider-Man suits in this game. But let's just real quick, before we get into the suit meandery, let's just go ahead and change back into the normal suit when it gives us an opportunity.
Let's do just that. We have basically all but one of the suits, and I'm going to be showing them off as we go through the game. This is the one you start with. And yeah, do you have a favorite suit?
I'd probably have to say my favorite suits in this game are the Last Stand suit. That's absolutely number one. It's so simple and yet so effective. Another one is the Dark suit that you get when, you know, you do like a side quest, you know, as part of the, you know, the main game. It's not like a DLC kind of suit. And I'd have to say probably my third favorite suit in this game, I don't know if you want to talk about this yet, but it's the suit, you know, from the Sam Raimi films, actually. It looks fucking amazing in this game, especially when I was playing the DLC and it took place during sunset. It's just like, oh my god, it actually looks like the fucking movie. It's nuts.
Yeah, honestly, like, I thought I had gotten a CG render from, like, the Spider-Man 2 movie game, like one of the advertisements when I put it on Twitter. It was kind of insane. But bless their hearts, like, they got inundated with requests for that, and just before the final DLC went live, the third package, Silver Lining, on December 21st, I want to say, the day before that, they were just like, surprise, here's a suit you asked for, you can play it in the final DLC. I'm like, you motherfuckers, I've always loved Insomniac games. They made the Spyro trilogy on the PS1, you know, they made the Ratchet and Clank games, the PS2 trilogy being my favourite. Well, PS2 trilogy plus Deadlocked. I'm a big fan of Deadlocked, actually.
Yeah, no, Insomnia Games has always been great, so I love how they were kind of, you know, again, despite all the hostility they were getting on Twitter, I am glad they gave us that suit for free. In the sequel, I'm going to need 60 Spider-Man and Japanese Spider-Man suits, please, but with what we have here, no, it's a really great selection of, like, different stuff. Everybody has a favorite suit they like in this game, and you can play it whatever way you want, which is another great thing about this game.
What Helldragon actually means by that is each suit, except for like a choice few, which are more like bonus suits than anything, they have their own suit mods, which is essentially a suit power, but you're not locked into using a suit for a specific power. You can equip any suit mod on any suit, which if you think about it is so simple, yet genius, because you can be the Spider-Man you want to be, essentially. You don't have to be locked into an inferior suit using a superior power.
Because the funny thing is that actually this first suit you get, its power Web Blossom, its special ability, is actually one of the best in the game. So.
It's really fucking good. Yeah. Alright, the combat. Do you want to explain a little bit about how this works, mate?
Sure. It's very Arkham Asylum-ish. You're going to have your attack, you're going to have your basic. You don't really have a counter. You can dodge, of course, but another good addition to the moveset is the web line. Like, you can do different web-related things, you can zip over to enemies, you can toss them around, you can do all this crazy stuff, and also you have finishers in this game. As you do well in combat, you'll build up meter, which will not only allow you to do finishers, it also allows you to heal if you get damaged. So there's a real incentive for doing well in this game, because not only does it let you build up more focus and heal stuff and do finishers, but it also builds up your combo meter, which again kind of ties into that as well. So you're really committed to making sure you don't take any damage or get hit in this game, and when you master that, just, I'm gonna have to say the phrase here, it really makes you feel like you're Spider-Man, you know?
You're that one kid on the Polar Express, you know that?
Is that the newest meme? I mean, what are we forcing now? Some fucking movie from, like, God knows long ago, just because 4chan's talking about a bunch of now, that's the thing?
I guess so. Also, back there, when it was, like, giving me the tutorial to dodge and whatnot, I was being shot during that. Time doesn't stop. It just slows to a crawl, so if you saw me taking a bit of damage, you're like, oh, Tom doesn't know how to play games. That's why. I'm good at games when I try, guys.
One thing it does help you in this game, if somebody's about to take a pot shot at you, first off, they take 40 years to shoot. I'm sure that changes on higher difficulties, but they're fucking slow normally. The second is they give you that really helpful kind of line that gets red to let you know right when you're about to dodge. And with later abilities, if you dodge it like perfectly, you can like slow down time, you can instantly knock out the shooter if you get him in your sight. So again, it kind of all ties back into that incentive to, you know, really dodge around and do your combos and make sure you're not getting hit to get a lot of benefits out of it.
I want to say it's like as fluid as like the Arkham games, even if it does crib heavily from them. But there is a really nice bit of like snappiness to it. There's a level of satisfaction when you're not just button mashing, you're gracefully like dodging and whatnot, and you're countering with webs and so on, because you have plenty of gadgets, and I'm going to be making the most of them as we go through, because believe you me, I think the game will start to kick my ass soon enough, don't you worry.
Yeah, on higher difficulties and with tougher fights, you're really going to have to rely on a lot of your different gadgets, and you unlock them over the course of the story, but all of them are pretty useful in their own ways. If you've ever seen, like, you know, Gaming Brit's video about the combat in Spider-Man, you'll notice there's a weird thing about how the combat works in this game, where everybody just kind of slides to each other. There's not really any traditional hitboxes for your attacks, so you can't catch, like, multiple enemies in it. Sometimes enemies will get off a cheap shot because you thought you dodged just in time, but the animation said you didn't, so it can get a little weird and kind of, I mean, it's not grossly unfair, but you can have moments where you're like, no, I totally dodged that, you shouldn't have hit me there.
Yeah, well, Spider-Man was never known to be a whiner, so I'll just say that's an alternate universe.
Well, I mean, this is an alternate universe, technically. Like, that's the great thing about comics. Anything stupid happens. You can say it's a Doombot, or it's an alternate universe. That's fine. You know, it's okay.
God, I love the finisher system in this game.
The finishers are pretty good, and it looks like you have that ability where after you do a finisher, you can fire off another one, which is great for larger crowds, especially in the harder fights in the game.
I have maxed out, like, I was gonna say the web tree, but no, basically the skill tree and whatnot. And actually, before we continue, I'll just have a quick glance across that so you can essentially see how the game works and whatnot. I'm not going to be doing like every activity, every side thing, and so on, but I think it's important for you to see how it works. So you got like 3 different branches here. You have Innovator, which is for like, I'm guessing like dodging and so on. Defender, basically combat essentials, and web-slinger, so stuff for better movement and so on, like web-sip a second time without losing altitude, hold square in the air to swing kick enemies, and you can upgrade that to when you can knock down big boys, which is really nice.
Yeah, you do get a lot of abilities in this game, and I mean, once you get it all in your head, you can do a lot of great stuff during combat, again, making you feel like Spider-Man, but you get a lot of variety, and again, that also trades off in the enemies you fight as well, and they can get, like I said, really tough. You can get, like, big guys, or guys with, like, you know, miniguns, people with weapons, people with, like, laser whips and shit like that, so you're always having to kind of keep an eye on what they're throwing at you and how to respond to it accordingly.
Okay, server room it is.
Okay, give me a little bit of information on Yuri Watanabe, mate. I will say, I have to profess, I'm not a comics expert when it comes to Spidey. I've watched most of the cartoons, recent ones not included, but I love the shit out of the 90s one, I loved Spectacular Spider-Man, watched all the Raimi films, I've seen Homecoming and whatnot. So, you know, I'm not, you know, lacking in Spider-Man lore and such, but I don't know Yuri specifically.
Well, from what I can tell, she is apparently in the comics to a slight degree, but that's not like, you know, during the time of this game. But for the most part, I thought she was kind of an original character personally. But in this game, you know, she's a really interesting in that she's like a contact for Spider-Man and the police department. Like, they help each other with information. Spider-Man kind of helps her, you know, bust criminals, things like that. I mean, despite what happens kind of later on, there is some stuff that happens later on that I won't necessarily get into, but I like him having this contact in the police department to talk to and, you know, help with and things like that. It's something that I never really see a lot of in other Spider-Man media, so it's pretty cool that she's here. And again, she and Spider-Man do have a great relationship with each other, and they bounce off each other pretty well, which does make what happens later all the more devastating, I think.
It's actually kind of neat as well, because the voice actor for Spider-Man and Peter Parker, I guess, Yuri Lowenthal, is actually married to the voice actor for Yuri.
Which is Tara Platt. Yeah, they're actually married.
Why does the name Tara Platt ring a bell? Does she have any, like, credits that I'd recognize?
Well, let's see. I do have various wikis up. So let me see if I can pull up anybody you might recognize here. Oh, she was in Hawaii Five-0. Yeah, have you ever seen that show?
I've heard of it, for sure.
Various anime. She was in Agretzko, actually. That's interesting. Just a lot of different, I am a voice actress, I have to take a lot of different work kind of stuff, so.
It's okay. Spider-Man may be experienced, but I haven't played it since Boxing Day, which was a couple of days ago at the time of recording.
Yeah, we just kind of got off Christmas here. Christmas was really good. Funny enough, I've actually been I've been playing Spyro Reignited, which is another Insomniac game. Okay, well, sort of. It's kind of done by, the original game was done by them, and then, you know, Toys for Bob did the remake version of that.
How are you enjoying it?
It's pretty good, fairly simple enough, and, you know, I haven't really done time with the original PS1 game, so a lot of this is actually pretty new to me, so it's kind of interesting to see how it plays out.
Neat. Wilson Fisk, the kingpin of crime, is not in this game for very long. He's the tutorial boss, essentially, and taking him down will basically kick off the events of the rest of the game, so don't get too comfy with him right away.
He's also played by Travis Willingham, so yes, he is literally Ann Knuckles in this game.
Nice.
Well, there was that time I took down a pompous, overstuffed crime lord before breakfast.
How do you feel about Kingpin in general, mate? Obviously, he was a really suave motherfucker in the 90s cartoon, but he's kind of had a bit of a vogue recently. Like, he's amazing as, like, Vincent D'Onofrio, or however you say his name, in the Netflix series. But he's also in, like, Enter the Spider-Verse, which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of my Spider-Man experience does come from the 90s cartoon, because I watched the fuck out of that. It was a great show. And in that one, he was voiced by, I'm getting his name here, please give me his voice actor, oh my god, come on, Roscoe Lee Brown, who was fantastic as Spider Kingpin, there we go.
Man, I'd like an AU where the Kingpin becomes Spider-Man. Oh my gosh, who could this man be?
Hey guys.
This gigantic figured person, you know, you never see him and Kingpin in the same room. No, Roscoe was great, but there have been other versions that came in, such as Michael Clark Duncan
Yes.
in the first Daredevil movie, I believe. So.
There was only one, mate.
Well, there was the Elektra movie, but nobody talks about the Elektra movie.
Yeah, I only really watched the first Daredevil because it had Ben Affleck in it, who's a decent actor, in my opinion, and it had Evanescence on the soundtrack. Fucking Bring Me to Life is a tune, mate.
Yeah. I mean, once you get past the memes and stuff.
Yeah, I guess so, Are you ready to live out? Are you ready to be Spider-Man?
Man, this game really does make me feel like Spider-Man. The crushing lack of money, the familial and relationship problems, I really feel like the web crawler.
Oh, the strength proportionate to a spider of this size. Really, Peter is the most relatable superhero.
I know he has like strength and agility proportional to a spider, but he is kind of busted in this game in the sense that you can because I know you were telling me in the older games you can take fall damage. Here you don't. So you can literally jump off like the highest building in the whole city, plummet like fucking 200 feet. I don't know, it's really long, and then you're fine. You just hit the ground with a shockwave. You do the Iron Man thing, boom. You know, with the fist to the ground.
Yeah,
and you're completely okay.
I mean, this is like Peter at his toughest. I imagine he made some sort of shock-absorbing gadget. It's honestly, if I'm going to play as a character called Spider-Man, I don't want to be taking fall damage. As funny as it was in the Spider-Man, PS2 game.
Oh yeah, like I've seen videos of those various QTEs where Spider-Man will just completely cock it up, and you'll have to redo it again.
Yeah. Nope.
I am really glad that they didn't bother to do his origin story, because everybody knows his origin by now, and it's just much better to kind of, again, just jump into things, where he's fought a lot of his rogues gallery, he has all these various powers already and, experience, so you can jump right into the action, which I think was good.
It was one of Homecoming's biggest selling points for me, I'm going to be honest with you. I like Uncle Ben, Raimi memes aside, but I don't need to see him die again for Peter to get motivation. I'm fine with that story, I just don't need another reboot,
It always kind of sucks when actors have to, we gotta find a new guy to play Uncle Ben who's gonna die. We gotta find a new guy to play, maybe Jonathan Kent. Sometimes he dies in Superman's various movies, it really depends.
Please, save me, Invincible Son.
I think I'm it.
It's nice that Spider-Man's, working with the NYPD and whatnot. Maybe cops aren't also... I couldn't even finish my fucking sentence!
They immediately try to betray him. Yeah, let's betray the guy who can sense when you're about to shoot him.
It's not the fucking Force, it's just Spidey Vision, alright?
Hey man, you gotta put on the Last Stand suit for this, because I always bring it out whenever I have to fight cops.
Alright, putting on the suit. Put on the suit, let's go a few rounds. Where's this motherfucker? Yeah, look at that shit.
Fucking nice. I mean, like I said, it's so simple but so effective. He's wearing completely normal-ass shoes. Like, you imagine somebody would be able to track his Nikes or whatever. But it looks great.
And the suit mod for this, Unrelenting Fury. Enemies cannot block or interrupt your attacks, even if they have shields.
Which can be alright, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you the two suit mods you're gonna be using. It's gonna be Web Blossom, or it's gonna be Spider Bro, which summons a drone to shoot enemies and stun them, like in a wide area, which makes it extremely useful. I'm sure there are others that people have used that I haven't experimented with, but those are really the only ones you need.
There's a lot of fun choices in the game, like the Ricochet suit, which I think is an Insomniac-designed original, lets you move really fast and knock people over while you're running, which is pretty fun. But I have never really found any use for it.
They were Willie's last line of defense.
I guess it's good for speed running and various other tricks, but just kind of for a general playthrough, Web Blossom or Spider Bro will help you out. And Spider Bro is also the suit mod for the Homecoming suit, which looks pretty good. I used it for a while until I got my cherished Last Stand suit.
There you go. Let's take a picture.
Just take a picture, put it on Facebook. Fucking pigs.
Okay, that's enough Last Stand fun. I'm gonna cycle through the suits in the game. You usually get these through unlocking and whatnot. There's a few, special circumstances, and some suits don't actually even have suit mods, but they're usually the ones you get for completing certain sections of the game.
Or other DLC bonuses. The DLC suits don't really have powers associated with them. They're just nice little suits to have.
I will say my one beef with the DLC suits is, the third one requires you to 100% the DLC, and considering they came out a month apart, it was like, oh, I've already 100% of the game, there's not really much gameplay use for them now.
Yeah, that's true. And some of the DLC is just annoying to clear up.
Yeah, true. How do you feel about the quip writing in the game, mate?
I don't mind it. I mean, Spider-Man really should be quippy. I think the main game's writing, as a whole actually, not just like the quips and things like that, I think the main game's writing is better than the DLC's. The DLC is kind of inconsequential to a degree. It does set up some important stuff, but on the whole, I just think the main game, in terms of its humor and its writing, is just stronger across the board.
You ever wish you had these in your room, just like stealth turrets and whatnot?
Yeah, it'd be nice, you know. Mom comes in, time for dinner. I'm playing Nintendo, Mom.
Alright, let's do the shit. Shablams!
Yeah, do you make sound effects when you're a superhero too? Shablam, pow, kabow.
I do, actually. Sadly, no word bubbles pop up, but, you know, we make do.
Yeah, funny enough, there's actually a comic book assassin designed by Kevin Smith in DC Comics called, and if I say this word wrong, I apologize, Onomatopoeia. You know, like the various sound effects, like boom, things like that. He fought like Batman at one point. I just think it's an interesting kind of an idea for Assassin. Only really works in comic books, however.
The funny thing about like fighting Fisk and whatnot is he is actually an enemy type. It's the Brute, I believe, or like the Bouncer or whatever. That might have been a Square Enix game. But yeah, this is just basically teaching you the fineries of the combat system, and be careful, it's very easy to die at this point, even on amazing difficulty.
Yeah, some people have complained that the thing is with Spider-Man is that like he can only really take a few hits before he dies, and it's kind of hard to strike that balance. I mean, obviously we want to punish the player for failing to dodge. I mean, yeah, they need to face some sort of drawback for it, but sometimes it really does feel like Spider-Man is built like tissue paper. I mean, I can understand guns fucking him up, but I mean, for some reason, and I understand, of course, because he has his various Spider-Man powers, things like that. You know, he can kind of get away with this, but for some reason, he still doesn't use... His normal suit doesn't have, like, armor on it. He has various armored suits, especially at one point where he didn't have his spider sense, he had to be bulletproof. Or, well, I just don't see why he can't incorporate into that his normal suit. Technology is advanced to a point where he can still be agile, but, you know, still have that protection in case he needs it.
Quick time events. Do you like them or do you not like them?
I mean, I can do a QuickTime event. I just didn't want to press them. And one of the, actually the great things about the accessibility options in this game, there are a lot of them, which I really think is forward-thinking of Insomniac, but you can actually turn off QTEs, and like I said, I can do QTEs, I just don't want to do QTEs, you know?
Fine. I mean, I like them, they get me engaged with the game, even if the ones in the game are ridiculously easy, but yeah, that's your tutorial, guys. You take down the fucking Kingpin, and that's just a taste, a snifter of how insane the game actually gets.
Yeah, it just gets like way more nuts from here.
And the finale is basically, it's like a French kiss in video game form.
Well, I don't know about that, at least it's not sloppy.
I meant to say chef's kiss, but it came out more erotic than I was intending it to.
Ooh, Spider-Man, hello.
I think I've had that dream before. I think that one dude from Penny Arcade has had that dream before.
Finally off to Rikers, huh? You know, I think you've got more enemies in there than I do.
If you think this
I'm gonna be out in like 3 days' time, and I swear to God, I will never find out who you are, and this will go on for another 8 years.
Yeah, hey, gotta sell those comics, man.
order in this city,
Status quo is king in comics. It's not like a TV show where it has a, you know, a finite run and a definitive end. No, comics gotta keep reinventing
Kingpin is heading
themselves.
to prison.